Good morning, good morning, good
Morning.
morning. I'm Gigi.
And I'm JG.
All right.
Yeah.
This is Walking 1K with Gigi. It is a beautiful morning here in the 757. This is the day that the Lord has made. We're rejoicing and we're glad in it. I encourage you to get out and walk, get out and move, especially in this area because it is a beautiful morning, just right for walking. And they say later on we're going to get into the 80s. And I always tell you about the many benefits of walking. But this morning, I just want to share with you another gem nugget inspired again from our Daily Bread devotional. And their title is Humble Honor.
Mm.
But you know what this devotional reminds us today? And this is my gem nugget. The way up is humbling down. The way up is humbling down. Now, I didn't say being abused or stepped on, because sometimes people think when you're humble, you're weak. But no, humbling is being submitted, especially to God. Jesus one day, he noticed that when there was special occasions, and I'm just going to read it as it is from Luke 14:7 through 11. It says, when he noticed how the guests picked the places of honor at the table, he told them a parable. He says, when somebody invites you to a wedding feast, do not take the place of honor, for a person more distinguished than you may have been invited. If so, the host who invited both of you will come and say to you, give this person your seat. And then humiliated, you will have to take the least important place. But when you are invited, take the lowest place, so that when your host comes, he will say to you, friend, move up to a better place. Then you will be honored in the presence of all the other guests. And this is the verse. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled or brought down low. And those who humble themselves will be exalted. We live in a society, everybody wants to be exalted, everybody wants to have the top title and everything. I know a lot of times, Pastor, people have come to you and said, why don't you be a bishop? And why don't you be an apostle? But you choose to be a humble servant and to be a pastor because it, God is the one that does the exalting. You know what it says in 1 Peter 5:6? It says, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. Don't you shouldn't exalt yourself. We should take the example of Jesus Christ when we think about in the second chapter of Philippians, and Jesus had the right to really exalt himself. But you know what happened there? It said, who being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal with God, but made himself of no reputation. You know, I remember a time, and you remember, Pastor, I was invited to speak, and after I spoke, they gave me a certificate and said Dr. Gail Gilmore, and I couldn't really accept that. And I told the person, I said, I'm not a doctor because I haven't earned that like doctorate title, but it's a danger in exalting yourself. Let God exalt you, and he will in due time. There's another trend, Pastor. Something been bothering me that I've been seeing on Facebook. I don't know if you noticed this or not. At these home goings and everything, they got this new thing now where they be putting crowns on the people in the casket. And I know, but I don't want no crowns like that. It says that God would exalt me. Now he'll give me a crown, and I've heard you pastors say so many times, the crown that God gives me,
Right.
you said probably be so heavy you be leaning over, your head be leaning over to
So many
one
jewels.
side, so
Yeah.
many jewels. But I want God to do that.
Yeah.
Don't be putting no crowns. I just thought I'd mention that because that kind of bothers me now. Don't be putting no crowns on me in the casket. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'm digressing. But that was on my mind
Yeah.
because he's going to do the exalting, just like in Philippians, um, because Jesus was found. This is the part I want to get to. He humbled himself. See, he humbled himself and became obedient unto the cross, even the death of the cross. And you know what happened? God highly exalted him. He never exalted himself. We should never exalt ourselves. We should humble ourselves because God is the one that's going to exalt us. That's why I don't want no crowns like that. I want God to do that. So the only way up is to humble yourself down. Because as it concludes, even in the devotional, Jesus urges us to follow his example and look for him for help in reorienting our thinking to see being humble last lowly as truly being in the place of honor. That's when we humble ourselves. That's when God sees us and exalts us, and we get the greatest honor when we humble ourselves.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that, Pastor?
Do you think the people really know who Jesus was with him being as humble as he was?
They probably
Satan
didn't.
was tricked, wasn't he?
He sure was.
Because he was so humble that if they realized how powerful
Mm,
he was, and then one of the thieves had a nerve to say, "You could just come down from the cross and save us if you
mm-hmm,
say who you are."
mm-hmm,
He didn't have to prove himself for that. He
mm-hmm.
wanted to prove himself to save the world.
That's right.
Amen.
And you brought up a good point.
Yeah, he's
Because from the very beginning,
humble. Yeah,
even his birth,
yeah,
he was so misunderstood because they thought he was supposed to have been born in a palace and way up here and everything.
yeah,
And he was born humble beginnings in a
yeah,
manger. And you know, that's a good
yeah.
question,
And
Pastor.
another thing like
Mm-hmm.
that, they said, you ever heard people say, well, you have to speak up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus
Mm-hmm.
didn't say a mumbling word.
Mm-hmm.
He knew how powerful he was. He owned the world.
His actions spoke louder.
Wow.
Yes.
Mm.
And he was, oh my gosh, that is such a good point
Yeah,
because everything about him was humble. Even when he came into Jerusalem on that first Palm Sunday, you supposed to be a king and
yeah,
you riding on a
oh,
donkey
yeah,
and you wearing those clothes and everything. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
that's a good point.
yeah,
But God highly exalted him. And the way that he was exalted is that he humbled himself.
yeah.
He
And one
humbled
more thing I
himself. Go
like to
ahead.
add,
Go ahead.
we had a lot of students in school when I was in school, classmates,
Mm-hmm.
was the ones that they teased and they talked about their clothing.
Oh yeah.
Most of them are lawyers today, or
Mm-hmm.
they're in the cameras in other countries.
Humble beginnings.
And now
Mm-hmm.
I thought about that. One of the
Mm-hmm.
girls that they teased so bad,
Mm-hmm.
she's a high-powered lawyer in another state.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's unbelievable.
Exactly.
But she was so humble.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. Some of your most powerful people had humble beginnings,
yeah,
and they're still humble.
yeah,
There's some people you look at, you say, what? Because of their humility
yeah,
and their humbleness. And that's what God is looking for. That's who God exalts,
yeah,
those that are humble. Just like God exalted his own son because he was obedient and humble even to the cross. It didn't say he just exalted him,
yeah.
but highly
Highly
exalted him.
exalted.
And that he was that every tongue a knee would bow and every tongue would confess
Yeah.
that he was the King of kings
Uh-huh.
and the Lord of lords.
Yeah.
God crowned him with that.
Yeah.
That's why I say I don't want no people putting crowns on me.
Yeah.
I want God to crown me and highly exalt me at the end. Oh my goodness. Don't forget, the way up is humbling down.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing that. That was a good
Yeah.
point. Oh my goodness. So I got a bunch of announcements, so bear with me. First of all, this is Tuesday, so tune in for Church School Live so you can get your weekly Sunday school lesson as it's taught from the International Sunday School Lessons. And we're still talking about these costly sacrifices. So this lesson is Solomon dedicates the temple. You talking about some sacrifices. Oh my God, Solomon, he presented 22,000 oxen in our lesson, but more than that. So tune in so you'll get your lesson tonight.
Yeah.
Also, I want to remind you, get your Walking 1K with Gigi shirt. You can go to the store, gg1kstore.etsy.com. Y'all are still asking about that. Go ahead and get your Walking 1K with GG shirt. So even though you might not be able to walk with me in person, you'll have it on like you're walking with me anyway. But I would love you to get one of those shirts. Also, Grace and Twine Ministries were entered in a contest through Cooper Hurley, Injury Lawyers. The deadline is May the 13th to just vote. Just vote for Grace and Twine Ministries at voteforacause.com. Do that for us. And also, if you want to be a blessing to this ministry, to Grace and Twine Ministries, you can do the super chat or the chat there, or at support us at graceandtwineministries.com. That is our PayPal. We hit 49,000
Oh yeah.
subscribers.
Yeah.
We're gonna get that 50,000 this week. We gonna get, thou says it, Pastor, and we are gonna get it this week. We're on a go, 100,000 before the end of the year. We're gonna do it
Yeah.
because we can do all things through Christ that strengthens us.
Amen.
And I gotta say one more thing. Mother's Day is coming, y'all. Mother's Day is coming. We're celebrating mothers this Sunday. And we're just asking all the ladies, all the mothers, all the potential mothers, y'all dress up. Dress up. When you come to Grace and Twine Ministries, mothers dress up. You can get your fascinators, those little hats, or your Sunday hat, but let's dress up. Let's dress up. The mothers are in charge. Y'all know the restaurants are gonna be crowded on Mother's Day, but come and celebrate mothers. Yours truly, oh my gosh, I have a message from the Lord, and we would love for you to celebrate mothers with us this Sunday at Grace and Twine Ministries. I'm giving you plenty of time, even to get your hat. We got a Roses here in the area. I got my hat there last year. They got some pretty hats, y'all, and fascinators. So if you need a hat, go on the Roses and get your hat. But come on and get dressed up. Dressed up this Mother's Day. I'm so excited. God is truly good. But don't forget, as I go off, the way up is humbling down. Don't try to exalt yourself, because God will do that. But the way and the reason that he exalts you is that you humble yourself.
Yeah.
Have a blessed day.
All right.
All right.
Yes.